The following program is a production of HEW Entertainment and contains views, opinions, commentaries, and content that may offend some subscribers of this show. Listener discretion is advised.
It's that time once again for HEW Entertainment Radio.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Hosted by Jonathan Clarke.
Gotta be the man! You gotta be the man! Woo!
Be sure to join us in the live chat room during the show.
Hulkamania is running wild like it's never ran before.
Call us on one of our request lines. If you live in the United States, call us at 1-641-985-7800, box number 3729288. If you're from Canada and would like to call us from 1-647-724-4194, box number 3729288. Long distance charges may apply in some areas.
I've been the World Heavyweight Champion 10 times.
Or you can always drop us a line at MySpace, myspace.com/HEW Entertainment.
And you will rest in peace.
Emailing us works for you too. Email us hewwrestling@hotmail.com.
I am a wrestling god. JBL.
And now, without any further ado, here is your host of HEW Entertainment Radio on the official website of HEW Entertainment, Jonathan Clarke.
The champ is here!
Streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. HEW Entertainment Radio is inviting you to comment on our video blogs, join the conversation, and like us. So what are you waiting for? Log on and listen now. Don't miss out on any of the action. Download our app on the App Store, Google Play, and the official website of HEW Entertainment. Once you download and install it, you'll get caught up on news, YouTube videos, and more. Download it now.
It's a shameful thing, you've lost your head. A careless man who could wind up dead. You wear your sin like it's some kind of prize. Too many lies, too many lies. Oh, these words are true, and I'll make you believe. Yeah, you fight for air and struggle just to breathe. And you wear your cowardice well, and I will see you riding straight to hell.
what's up? I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, and when the League of Nations first arrived in WWE, I thought this whole idea of this faction could have worked, but when Sheamus lost the championship to Roman Reigns the way he did, the purpose of the League of Nations became defeated, in my opinion, and they were kind of just there. Obviously, the reason why the League of Nations showed up first off in WWE was to make up for all the injuries we were seeing on the DL. This close to WrestleMania, Sting, Seth Rollins, and now Sin Cara on the DL with a shoulder injury. He fucked that up in a match recently, so he's not going to make it to WrestleMania, unfortunately, unless some miracle happens. And if some miracle happens, if Sting makes a return just a couple of days before WrestleMania, which I don't see happening, Randy Orton's out for a number of months also. There's no speculation on when he's going to return. They all know what's wrong with them, but they don't know when the return dates of these individuals are going to be. And with Seth Rollins, the former champion, over 200 days out with an injury until at least SummerSlam 2016, that's later on in the year. Over half the year will be over by the time he returns. I mean, what are you going to do? Obviously create factions and new storylines amongst the factions, but I don't appreciate this storyline of how the League of Nations are making comments about Canada and the United States, which there is no need of, just to stand out because they realize they're irrelevant to everything else happening in WWE, like the returns of John Cena recently to confront Del Rio in what was a great match. Was really hoping John Cena was going to win the U.S. title from Del Rio. That didn't happen. What's really weird about this whole situation is that Del Rio is the only man in the League of Nations to actually be holding a championship. I would have thought by now at least Del Rio and Rusev, or Rusev and King Barrett, would have been tag team champions, and Del Rio probably would have been both Intercontinental and U.S. champion, while Sheamus was the world champion. But without Sheamus being the world champion and having cashed in the briefcase the way he did at Survivor Series to set this whole idea in motion of Shield members Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose being Intercontinental and WWE champions, the purpose of the League of Nations, in my opinion, has been really defeated. Now, WWE have been no strangers in trying to create confliction between different countries in the way of storylines, between Canada and the U.S., blacks versus whites in the way of racist angles and even religious angles over the years. We all remember how they tried to create Muhammad Hassan into this inferior being who was going to be world champion representing WWE, and because of the terrorist stuff going on in the United States, they had to kill the idea of that. They edited out segments in the feud between Muhammad Hassan and The Undertaker when the terrorists attacked The Undertaker back in the mid-thousands. Remember that? When they were promoting terrorism, or at least had been accused of promoting terrorism, so they had to edit out footage in places like the UK. They had to kill the whole idea of Muhammad Hassan by the Great American Bash in 2005, over a decade ago. So they've been no strangers of trying to create confliction because of their storylines, and they have gotten that done, whether it be, targeting blacks and whites, different countries, different religions, creating their own religion in the way of McMahonism. So we've become familiar with WWE trying to do this sort of stuff. I just don't appreciate what they're doing in the way of their promos, having Zeb Coulter, of course, as the representative of Del Rio, saying what he says all the time about different nations, trying to create his own nation called Mex America, which makes no sense to me at all. There's a lot of unnecessary things happening because of the League of Nations. Not to say that all four of them aren't skilled wrestlers, because Del Rio had one of the best years of his life in 2011, winning the Royal Rumble match, winning 2 championships, a Money in the Bank briefcase. He did it all within that year. Sheamus has won virtually every accolade a singles performer in WWE could have ever achieved. In this era of professional wrestling, you have someone like a King Barrett, who was the winner of the first ever season of NXT. He's already challenged names like John Cena and Randy Orton, working with them in the past. And then Rusev, a former United States champion in his own right, went a number of months before he was actually even defeated and losing his first match, which I think was to John Cena when he was pinned at WrestleMania. So that says a lot about these 4 individuals. They are very accomplished, but do they really need to be doing what they're doing? Some of the things you can look at on the plus side is the fact that Rusev is actually being pushed. He was being pushed in the fallout of all these major injuries, the injuries of Seth Rollins finally, after everything that happened with him a couple of months back because of TMZ publicizing his engagement to Lana. Lana's been taken off WWE television because of it. They're still running with the whole idea of Rusev. Really appreciate that, and how Rusev is finally having something done with his character, and the whole idea of King Barrett going nowhere in 2015 after the hell of a year he just recently put behind him. I think King Barrett really deserves a push, and obviously he is getting that push finally, even though he doesn't have a championship to his credit. At least he's in a faction that's actually meaning something in WWE, or at least in the minds of a lot of wrestling fans. It's just, I think there's more time in finding ways of criticizing this whole League of Nations idea than there is actually putting them over. If they were still, working closely with Triple H and Stephanie and Vince McMahon as part of the Authority, it would make more sense, but it kind of seems like they've separated the whole League of Nations idea from the Authority and what's going on between, say, Triple H and Roman Reigns, which is all the hype, of course, for this year's WrestleMania, because they have nothing to put in the main event. And obviously what's going on with the League of Nations just revolves around, or seems at least to revolve around, what's going to be happening eventually, the inevitable between Triple H and Roman Reigns, which is a one-on-one match either for the championship or not for the championship at WrestleMania, is what we're trying to determine. But it seems like the League of Nations is just revolving around everything else happening within the McMahons and Roman Reigns and the remnants of the Shield, when you're talking about Dean Ambrose, who's the Intercontinental Champion, which again, I thought that Del Rio would have been a perfect candidate to hold both the U.S. and IC championships while you're trying to combine these two countries, Mexico, and the United States, living by their own rules and their own beliefs. I thought that would have been a perfect way, combining both countries and combining both championships, which we have seen something similar done with Kurt Angle, holding both the European and Intercontinental Championships at the same time, calling himself the Eurocontinental Champion, which I thought was really effective in the early thousands in his feud with Chris Jericho, which were some of the best matches of those divisions in recent years. So I think that there's a lot that can be done with the League of Nations, but again, WWE